you'll see in the graph coming up soon, he's almost 2 times more than what we got last time. Last time we got about $600 million and the government doubled it. But all the new money that we have, the new $650 million, is linked to what we call the Pharmacy Trial Program. So to have access to the new money for your services that you want to do in the pharmacy, the Australian government wants us, the Guild, in partnership with the government, to run what they call a trial program. A trial program that is clinical in its basis, and it's a clinical trial program that has to show which idea is the best idea. For example, I know there's some endocrinologists in the crowd in the meeting today. One of the first new programs we're going to trial in the 1.26 billion professional services is a screening for diabetes. Screen patients that come into your pharmacy that you think maybe have diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So we stop them going from type 1. So in the trial program, we're going to have about 200 pharmacies only screening with a questionnaire. So just a piece of paper, and you sit your patient down every time they come in your pharmacy and you think they might have diabetes, and you ask them maybe a list of questions. And those 200 pharmacies will only screen patients they think are diabetic using a questionnaire. And that screening will go on for 3 to 4 months. And there'll be funding for that, they'll get paid for it by the government. And then we'll have another 200 pharmacies that do blood glucose testing. Just a pink prick, and you test only the glucose. 200 pharmacies will only try to screen patients using blood glucose test strips. And they'll only test patients that they think have diabetes to see how many people they can find with diabetes in the community. And the third screening of 200 pharmacies will use the HbA1c screening tool, the newest technology. And that will run concurrently, all 3 together. And a university will collate all those results after 3 months, and whatever is the best will have access to that $600 million, so every pharmacy can do it. That's the way the Australian government wants to show that the money that they are pouring into community pharmacy has got a cost benefit. And that way the doctors cannot complain, the journalists cannot complain. We have to show that the clinical trial gives results, and the best way of doing something is the best way that the trial shows. So that's a brand new system that the Australian government has put in our 6 community pharmacy agreement. I thought I'd share that with you. Now I want to show you a little bit of history of our agreements with the government. As I said earlier, our agreements with the government started more than 25 years ago. You can see there in 1991 was our first 5-year agreement. The first 5-year agreement, as you can see, the pharmaceutical benefit scheme after the full 5 years cost the government $8.3 billion. The remuneration to the pharmacists was $2.5 billion over those 5 years. And there was no such thing as programs. Either we didn't ask for programs, or the government didn't think that pharmacists could do programs in a pharmacy. No programs. And also, strangely, the last number, savings agreed, they never even asked us to find any savings in the health portfolio. But that was only the first 5 years. As you can see with the second agreement, things changed. We were able to get more money from them, but they also asked us to find savings in their health portfolio. And all of a sudden, they agreed to give us $5 million for programs. And we went on and on and on. And the 6th agreement, which is the one I signed last year, you can see the PBS cost is not available yet because we have to get the full costing after 5 years. But you can see the remuneration to the pharmacists every time they dispense a prescription has gone up from 10.8 billion to 14.1. That was a huge success for us. But we were able to explain to the government that's what we need to be able to cover our costs, increase rent, increase salaries to our staff, and increasing utilities. And they agreed. But they also agreed that you need to do more in the programs area, more in primary healthcare, more things that the doctors have not got time to do. Not primary health care that the doctors want to do, but things that they haven't got time to do. And of course, they increased our programs to 1.26 billion. But the biggest number is down the bottom. Never before have they asked us for savings in the health portfolio anywhere near $3.7 billion. That's a lot of money to find savings. And there was a lot of pressure on my team to find $3.7 billion. And I'm happy to tell you where we got that $3.7 billion, but maybe you should come and talk to me privately afterwards, because that's a very controversial number in Australia. But I can tell you one thing for sure, that $3.7 billion did not come from pharmacists. We found that somewhere else. The health portfolio is very diversified. It doesn't just do pharmacy. And we had a big team of health economists, like the gentleman that was here before on the stage, and we were able to find savings in other areas of the health portfolio. Health portfolio is very diverse, and they agree with us, but we did the work beforehand. We knew they were going to ask us for that, because the Australian government, it's a little bit different to the Greek government, the Treasury, the Finance Department, they have a strategy where they're happy to increase funding in all sorts of areas, but for every dollar they give you, they want 50 cent savings. Every $2 they give you, you have to find them $1 saving in the same portfolio. We knew that. We had done all that research, and we didn't know they were going to ask us for 3.7 billion, but we knew they were going to ask us for some savings, and we found that area, those areas of savings, in other areas of the health portfolio. That's probably enough said on that one. Just very nice, so I don't get too controversial. But I'm happy to tell you exactly where we found those savings, if you want privately. And if you ask me questions, it's probably not appropriate for me to tell you exactly in front of everyone, but afterwards, then I'll explain to Mr. Moros where we found that saving, but happy to share that with you. Okay, now, I know my time is going fast, but this area I'm very passionate about. It's a program called Meds Assist. It's a program that, like I told you at the start of my presentation, that our own company developed. Our own software company developed this program. It's called Meds Assist, because late last year we found out that our regulatory authority, the TGA, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, is equivalent to the FDA in America, the Food and Drug Administration. We found out that that regulatory authority was going to change some medicines that we sell over the counter. We sell some pain relieving medicines with codeine in Australia over the counter. We found out they wanted to make those prescription only. So we developed our own software system. We linked up every single pharmacy in Australia. We did that in less than 6 months. And every time someone now walks into our pharmacies and needs to buy that medicine, we ask for their driver's license, and we type in the driver's license, and all the history of those purchases comes up real time in every single pharmacy. So we pick up people that unfortunately are being addicted to these medicines, because as everyone knows in the room, codeine is very addictive, and the government was going to take those medicines from pharmacy and give it to the doctors. The doctors have no real-time monitoring. They have no idea in Australia what any other doctor prescribes. So we stepped up, we developed our own program with our own money, and now we've linked up every single pharmacy in Australia. Doesn't matter where you go, every pharmacy will know when was the last time you took those painkillers. And then now we can perform our duty as pharmacists at the top level. And we also did a report to the government last year. We got a health economist to do the report that showed them that if they change those medicines to prescription only, it would cost the government the next 5 years $1 billion extra in doctors' fees. And we said to them, "Are you guys crazy changing this? We will fix this problem up for you." So we went to the government with a solution. So you need to always go to the government with a solution. They always listen when there's a solution, especially if they save money. Biostimulus substitution was the other area that I discussed earlier that I wanted to share with you, with my Greek colleagues. Biologicals, as you know, is a huge area of pharmacy that's evolving all around the world. The Australian government last year, when I signed that agreement, introduced a new legislation whereby any biological in the Australian market, any prescription that we have that comes into the pharmacy, is a biological medicine. If there's a biosimilar medicine in the Australian market, the pharmacist is allowed to change that. As far as I know, there's only 2 countries in the world that have got that legislation. It's Australia and Venezuela. All the other countries, they leave it up to the doctors. In Australia, the government supports pharmacy to make that decision. As you can imagine, the Australian government is going to save billions of dollars doing it. The Australian government is so excited by this new legislation that they have put $20 million in a public awareness campaign, an advertising campaign for the public, to tell them that your pharmacist and you will decide which biological you will have. And that's the sort of support that the Australian government has to community pharmacy. And as you can imagine, I'm sure there's some pharmaceutical companies in the audience. The pharmaceutical companies hate this idea because the control comes with us, to the pharmacist. And that's a great thing, and you can decide with your patient which brand they want. And there's a huge saving for the government too. But of course, the big brand pharmaceutical companies, they don't like these. But I won't say any more than that. Is that enough about that one, Mr. Rose? Okay, I wanted to explain to you what our new dispensing fee was. I said to you earlier that we changed our dispensing fees. Every time a prescription comes to a pharmacy in Australia, in all the other agreements, the other 5 agreements, 20 years worth of agreements, we used to always have 10% markup, what we call a 10% markup, the cost of the medicine plus 10%. Well, we found that the price of generics and the price of medicines was going down so fast, we said to the government, we don't want any more markup. We want a new fixed fee. And they said to us, what do you need this new fee for? And we invented a new name. This is an Australian name that my team invented. And we called it the Administration, Handling and Infrastructure Fee. We said to the government, we need a new fee, forget about the markup. Because every time a medicine comes down in price, our profits go down. That's not fair. Give us a fixed fee. But they said to us, what are we going to call this? Well, we named it. We named it, and we priced it, and we set different categories